Evening and welcome to Wednesday, August 10th, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Will you please call roll?
Crystal Shonda.
Here, I will have to recuse myself from agenda item number 3, and I have nothing else to disclose.
Whitney Fenwick.
Here, and I made a site visit to agenda items 3 and 4, and I have nothing else to disclose.
Marjana Hewlett.
Here, and I have nothing to disclose.
Richard Phillips.
Here, I made a site visit to agenda items number 3 and 4, and I have nothing to disclose.
And Shin Kyu Root.
Here, and I have nothing else to disclose.
So agenda item number 2 is the approval of the minutes. Tonight, we would like to pull this agenda item and move it to the next meeting. So now we will move on to agenda item number 3, and I will turn it over to Q.
Good evening and welcome to August 10th, 2022 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The meeting was a preliminary meeting was held at 6 in the council chambers of City Hall for clarification of the agenda. The following is the official agenda of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Discussion and commission action will be limited to those items on the agenda. Any citizen who wishes to address the commission shall first be recognized by the chair and shall give his or her name and address for the record. If a citizen wishes to read documentation of any sort to the commission, he or she shall first seek permission from the chair. There is a 3-minute time limitation for presentations to the commission. So we will have agenda item 3. Okay, the applicant, please present.
Good evening, Commission. Wyatt Radke with A&E Engineering. The proposed zone map amendment is for 2 parcels of land located at 1737 Harrison Avenue in Old Town, Pocatello. The existing zoning for this property is light industrial. One of the 2 parcels is currently undeveloped, while the other currently has a single-family home surrounded by unimproved land. The block that this property is located on currently has a mix of single-family homes, warehouses, and commercial buildings. The blocks to the south and east consist primarily of single-family homes, while the blocks to the north and west consist primarily of commercial and light industrial buildings. Within a 3-block radius of the property, there are industrial, light industrial, general commercial, residential commercial professional, and residential high and residential medium density zoned areas. The city code describes residential commercial professional as a district that may be used to serve as a buffer between residential areas and commercial and or industrial areas. With this proposed property being located in a buffer zone, residential commercial professional is an appropriate designation for this piece of land. This zoned amendment will allow for the development of 2 lots which are currently bare ground into multifamily housing, which will help with the current housing shortage, especially for affordable housing. And the area is zoned as mixed use in the comprehensive plan, and the residential commercial professional zone fits nicely within this designation.
Thank you. Does commission members have any questions for the applicant?
No questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will hear from the city staff with regards to the application.
Good evening, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Carl Anderson, a senior planner, City of Pocatello for the record. Tonight, as previously stated, you have a zone map amendment application for the property generally located at 1737 North Harrison Avenue. As indicated in the application packet, it appears that this property does include 3 parcels. They're separated by the alleyway. One's at the corner of North Main and Gibson, one's at Main and Harrison, or the remaining 2. The applicant is House Buyers 2008 LLC. The commission should be made aware, and as indicated in the staff report, that the deed submitted with the application does show that there's that they own the property in 50-50 share with Rocky Mountain Rocky Mountain Capital LLC, and an affidavit of legal interest has been signed by Kurt Hathaway by Colin Hunter of Rocky Mountain Capital LLC, authorizing Kurt Hathaway to submit the application. The surveyor engineer listed on the application is A&E Engineering, Inc. So the general background, the request is to rezone these properties here. There's a little black outline, if you'll see here, that crosses the parcel boundaries and separated by the alleyway. This is an aerial that I pulled from the city's zone map that just shows some boats and things parked here based on a site visit, so that those appear to be removed. The request is to rezone the property from light industrial to residential, commercial, professional. The property does include multiple parcels as previously stated and totals an area of approximately 0.741 acres. The subject property I've got that in there a couple times. But again, this is located at the corner of North Main and Gibson at the corner here, and then North Harrison and Gibson here. There is an existing single-family home at 1737. So the commission is aware the remaining 2 parcels do appear to be vacant. The proposed change in zoning does not require an amendment to the comprehensive plan where the area is designated as mixed use, which aligns with the requested zoning of residential, commercial, professional. The list of uses in the RCP zoning district include a variety of residential uses from single family to multifamily that allows for development consistent with the higher density single family development in the surrounding area, where many of the lots are original town site platted lots. The commercial uses permitted in the RCP zoning district serve to reduce conflict between residential and commercial uses and would integrate well into the surrounding area. Many of the commercial uses permitted generate less of an impact when compared to those permitted in the existing light industrial zoning district. The proposal will align with the purpose and intent of the RCP zoning district, which may be utilized to serve as a buffer between residential areas and commercial/industrial areas. Aligning the site with the comprehensive plan, reducing the nonconformity of the existing residential use, which is not permitted in the existing zoning of light industrial, and buffering the residential neighborhood to the south and from the commercial industrial nature of Gibson Avenue will serve the community's best interest. The commission should be advised that this area is within the original town site overlay, which will remain in place should the rezone a map amendment be approved. The rezone application will not impact the original town site overlay designation.
Okay.
Here you see the zone map amendments aerial provided by the applicant. Shows the zonings, light industrial, and commercial general here. And you'll see zone map comparison as well. Again, through this area and along Harrison is industrial, and then again along Main. The red here again is commercial general. And then the east side of North Harrison and the railroad tracks are zone industrial. Here you'll see the comprehensive plan designation for the area. The darker purple here is employment, which aligns with the light industrial and industrial zoning designations, and also office park, which is not found in this area. And then the red here is mixed use, which aligns with the residential, commercial, professional area. All notification requirements for this application have been met. Staff has received some phone calls on this, but has not received any written correspondence. Staff finds the application meets the requirement of Pocatello Municipal Code 1702-170 with the conditions provided in the staff report. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Does any commissioners have any questions for the
I
city
don't
staff?
have anything, Carl.
Okay, thank you. Now, at this time, we will invite anyone providing testimony by those supporting the application. If there's no one, we will invite anyone providing testimony by those uncommitted to the application. And then we will move on to invite anyone providing testimony by opponents to the application. So with no further testimony or rebuttal, I will entertain a motion from the commissioners.
I'll make a motion. I move to recommend approval to the City Council for the zone map amendment by House Buyers 208 LLC, finding the application does meet the standard for approval under Chapter 17.02.170 of Pocatello City Code with the conditions listed in the staff report, and authorize the chair to sign the findings of fact. Should the chair sign the findings of fact even though?
The vice chair.
That's what it says. So authorize the vice chair to sign the findings of fact.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Hewlett,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Steinle,
Yes.
Root,
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Q. We will now move on to agenda item number 4, which is a public hearing for the annexation and comprehensive plan map amendment, file 22-1815 and 22-1825, which is an action item. This time has been set aside for the commission to hear comments from the public regarding a request by the city of Pocatello to annex, zone, and provide comprehensive plan map designation for the property located north of Highway 91, south of South Valley Road, east of Bannock Highway, west of Interstate 15. The request is to amend the comprehensive plan map to public P, and zone all publicly owned property as well as Idaho Power Company property to public lands facilities, PLF. Property owned by Juniper Hills Country Club is proposed to have a comprehensive plan map designation of R residential and zoned residential medium single family RMS. So at this time, I would like to invite the applicant and staff to come forward and present this item.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the commission.
Public hearing open.
Thank you. Jim Anglesey, Long Range Planner for the City of Pocatello. The request before you is from the Planning Department to do a city-initiated annexation and comprehensive plan map amendment to annex zone and provide a comp plan designation for the subject property. The request is to amend the comprehensive plan map to public and zone all publicly owned property as well as Idaho Power Company property to public lands facilities, or PLF. And property owned by Juniper Hills Country Club is proposed to have a comprehensive plan map designation of R, residential and zoned residential medium density single family. The purpose of the public designation is intended to support zoning districts that allow public and quasi-public uses such as parks, open space, or schools and other public facilities. The purpose of the zone public lands facilities district is to satisfy general public needs by reserving land to accommodate public utilities, facilities, resource protection areas, and other public infrastructure deemed to be of local, regional, state, and or national importance. I'll go back to this one. The city-owned property within this subject property, there's no plans to develop this area, but to leave it designated as open space for public recreation and other uses such as the aquifer recharge zone, wildlife protection, and the preservation of petroglyphs along the basalt cliffs. You see here, this is the comp plan designation of areas surrounding the subject property. So we're talking about all the property from the Kirkham Trailhead that's owned by the city, owned by Juniper Hills and Idaho Power, as well as city-owned property near Century High School. All this is proposed to be annexed, zoned, and given a comp plan designation. And then this map shows the zoning surrounding the property. Again, property owned by Juniper Hills will be given a RMS zone to match what's already been given to the remainder or the rest of the country club. And then all city-owned property and Idaho Power property will be zoned PLF, or Public Lands and Facilities. Notice for this public hearing has met all state and city requirements. And in consideration of the application, staff concludes that the proposed annexation request and concurrent zone map and comprehensive plan map amendment is compliant with all sections of city code. And this concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
I have a question.
Oh, yes, please. I might have one.
Why does the city want to annex this now? What's driving this?
This originally started with an inquiry into our office of the desire to preserve the petroglyphs in the area. And that followed by working with the tribes to identify where some of those are at. And a lot of what the tribes had shown us were petroglyphs on the south end.
Down there?
But we understand that there are petroglyphs throughout that whole stretch. So it really started with wanting to preserve those. But it also supports plans for the river vision, having trail access through there. And so it started with the petroglyphs, but it kind of morphed into this. There were other needs that the city saw to annex. And in general, we're wanting to annex any city-owned property that's not in the city, that's contiguous to current city boundaries. And so the petroglyphs started the conversation, but
Okay.
it kind of built up over a year's time.
Okay, thank you for that. I mean, I remember back when we annexed the Century and then the South Hills stuff, and it was so far removed. So I'm all in favor of getting this away from that little mitten string that's, barely attaching it. But I wondered what was driving that. What was the push behind it, the impetus for now?
Any other questions, Commission?
I have another question, and that regards why the golf course property. Is there, I mean, do you envision housing going in there? I mean, so is it
No.
just so that I read because the golf course isn't technically in the right zoned area, right? But that it's been approved, anyway, explain that.
Yeah,
please.
currently the rest of the country club is zoned residential, and the designation of RMS has an exception to the country club.
Okay. So that's why it tied in with this, because
yeah.
it meets that exception that the rest of the country clubs have.
Normally that use type wouldn't be permitted in residential, but there was an exception for the country club.
Okay. So it's just to match the rest of their property there.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you. At this time, I would like to open it up to anybody supporting the application. Anyone neutral to the application? Anyone opposing the application? Commission, any discussion?
Like I said, what we had to do to annex those other portions, we just had to string along just an outside little edge. I was trying to outline where, because you're not supposed to annex stuff that isn't contiguous, so getting more connectivity between those makes me happy. I guess it's not just this narrow little strip of land. And I would like to see that area protected. I'm thrilled that it has the possibility of opening up some further access for trails along the river. And I'm a big fan of the Port Enough Restoration Project. So I'm happy to see this, but I was just interested in what was the driving factor behind it.
With that, I would like to entertain a motion.
I move that we recommend approval of the annexation and comprehensive plan map amendment application from the City of Pocatello to annex, zone, and provide a comprehensive plan map designation for property located north of Highway 91, south of South Valley Road, east of Bannock Highway, and west of Interstate 15. Finding the application does meet the standards for approval under Section 17.02.120 of Pocatello City Code, and to authorize the chair to sign the findings of fact.
I second.
Public hearing is closed. I have a motion by Hewlett and a second by Fenwick. Will you call vote?
Hewlett,
Yes.
Fenwick,
Yes.
Chanda,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Rubin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right.
And with that, I declare our meeting closed.